Alright, I have this Wayne's pump right here. It's a, let's see, I had it in my mind and I lost it. I think it was a 3/4 horse motor. These are all your parts right here, part numbers, and it's right here too. That's the rebuild kit for inside the pump, the water pump, not the electric pump. So, and there's the model number. So, you know, this is only like a 3-year-old machine or pump. So I'm going to be showing you today how to take this part and rebuild all this. Alright, first thing you want to do is when you get a Phillips screwdriver, and there's a little screw down here, is we're going to take this wire off here. In which there's still water in the pump, so just watch so you don't get a bath. Make sure your pump's unplugged. Don't leave it plugged in while you do this, because you will get electrocuted. That wouldn't be very good. And that should just pull up just like that. Goes on an angle. It clips over here on the other side. Alright. You'll need that Phillips still. There's a ground wire right here. We're going to get that one off. Give me a thing to put parts in. Alright, so that we got. Now you can't mix these up. So your white wires go with your white wires and your black wires go with your black wires. So you really can't mess that up too much. And what we're going to do is we're unhooking it from here. So you need probably just pliers or something, grab that, loosen it up if it's not loosened already. Gonna have to straighten these lines up as you pull to get them out. And this on the side, make sure you don't lose your little nut while you're working on it. Alright, so now we're done moving that. I should have took that pipe off there. Now you need a 9/16 socket, and we'll go ahead. There's 4 of these bolts here. Now these 2 bottom 2 hold that plate on, so when you go loosen them up, make sure that they don't fall on you. Alright, I'm going to take this part off. It's in my way. Alright, so now we want to go ahead and get the rest of these 2 off. Now you probably will need a rubber hammer, rubber mallet. I'll show you here in a minute. So I had this lead mallet right here. Because it's cast iron, you don't want to break that. So we want to go ahead and hit or hold the electric motor. You want to hit, turn these where you can hit along here and here on all 4 sides. You want to do so many hits to keep it equal. And that's why you need to drain it, but I didn't. So, you see it fell apart. Now mine was a little easier to take apart because I already had it apart. I just put it back together just to show you. So you may have to hit on that a little bit harder. Alright. So now we got 2 apart. So now on the electric motor, we're going to have to take this plate off here. That's a 1/4 socket. Both of them, there's 2 of them. We're going to set them on this side. And that plate should come off just like that. Alright, and why we took that plate off, why I did, is back here is a flathead screwdriver deal we gotta get on there. Or flathead screwdriver we gotta get on there to hold the propeller to change it out. So before we do any farther, we gotta take this front plate off. Wrong socket. So we need a 5/16 socket, or you can use flathead screwdriver, whatever you like. They give you that option. Alright, we're gonna set that to the side. Alright, so you need a quarter socket. We're gonna go ahead and take this bolt off there. Move that out of the plate. Oops, don't lose your bolt. We gotta move that out of the way. So now that's out of the way, screwdriver should go into place here. And I've never done this, so I gotta see how this is gonna work for myself. Hang on. Alright, so I fought with this and I tried with screwdriver. Well, I couldn't get a screwdriver, so I took a pair of pliers in here. And there's this little tab right here, relax on. You just gotta be careful you don't bend them tabs that's on the spring. Take you some channel locks on that plastic round piece right here. You put them on there. And you hold and push down. And it will unlock. You just gotta put a little pressure. So we're gonna leave them set there. Trying to show you what I got here. You see where my channel lock's grabbed. And right there's the parts. Alright, so as you see, let's get that part right here on. It goes onto this. I was told to make sure you silicone here all around this, because you want to make sure it seals, and half the time they say they don't really seal real well. And you don't have to use high temp. That's the only I got right now. You don't want a lot on there, you just want enough to where it seal it. I got a little too much on there, so we're going to slide that onto that shaft. Just like that. And then we're going to put a little more on that gasket here. And that's ready to go back on. So now, you get it started. I'm going to wipe my hands off real quick. Alright, we're going to get that spun on there as much as we can. Now we want to go back and get our pliers and everything. Just like I said, be real gentle where you don't mess up nothing here. And you don't want to break that plastic piece up front. Let's see, around this is where I had it at. Trying to get back in the situation where I had it. So just try to, make sure you hold it without breaking anything. Tighten that up. Take your channel locks. Tighten it up. Be gentle or you don't break it. That should be good there. And there's that. See, it's on there. Try not to leave any scar marks on that end. So now while we're here on this end, we're going to head and get all that stuff put back on. I did take this off, so it's a 1/4 inch bolt. I think I did put that in the video. So make sure you put that on there. Oh, as you see, I missed. Kind of a tight area. you want to make sure that lines up. Locks, you know, it's got to line up with all this and sets down there on that little rod deal right there. Remember, that is that easy to break, so just be gentle with it, don't overdo it. Now we're up front here, back again where the water is all at. We want to go ahead and take our old big gasket off. Alright, so I moved that pump out of the way. Now we gotta go to this, and there's a tube in here. And it's a 3/4 inch socket. Make sure you're going the right way. That's what it looks like, the tube. We want to go ahead and get that tube off there. And we're still not done yet. Once you get that old tube off there, you will need, and you probably will need an extension too. I forgot to mention that. So use the extension. It helps reach farther in there. 11/16 socket. And there's one more piece right back here. We want to get that off there. Make sure you go the right way because it's plastic. You don't want to go the wrong way. And it looks like that. So I don't know if I'm supposed to, but I'm going to Teflon this because it's easy to do now than not to do later. Because then that means you have to take all this back apart if you know it needs it. So make sure you get this in there right. Get it started. I'm going to take that off the impact. And then I know it won't strip or break that plastic piece. And remember, you just don't over tighten it. Now we got that on there. Like I said, I'm going to do the same thing with this, Teflon it. And then that goes on there. That's when you get our socket. That's pretty good right there. Alright, so as you can see, this part says up. So you want to make sure you line this up where everything's facing upward. Now, you can see this is the bottom of the pump. See how that looks? That is your bottom. So make sure your lettering's facing up, just like that. That would be your top of your pump. You want to line these two holes up. And go ahead and get them tightened down. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get our metal piece put back on our pump, electric pump. You got to line up them holes. Get your bolt started. Must not got them started in the right spot. So you got to make sure you get them started right. Just be careful you don't break none of them plastic pieces that's on top. There, now that should be pretty close being where it needs to be at. Yep. Get them snug. getting too many things on this counter, so it kind of makes it hectic for me to try to do stuff. So, all right, we got all that. Now, I was told this O-ring here. Oh yeah, and you know what? We want to go ahead while you're there. Don't forget to put your big gasket on there. Sometimes I forget too, so don't forget that. And your white end goes flat onto the metal, as you can see. Make sure it goes up in there. Now, I was told with this O-ring here and all the way around this, either put you some grease, Vaseline, or whatever you got around them. What that's going to do, that's going to prevent them from wanting to roll. And then if they do, you're going to lose your suction. So I'm just doing what I was told because I definitely don't want to have to go back through all this again. And that makes sense. It makes the gasket slide on everything a lot easier. And put whatever, you know, I'm just trying to cover the gasket really well all the way around. As I said, I want to save time and not have to take this back apart again because the gasket rolled on me. All right. Rag, wipe that off. All right, so now we want to put our pump the right way again. And we're going to go ahead and get this slid on there. All right, so this should be lined up pretty close. You just got to play around with it a little bit. Got lining the bolts up now. Trying to get it turning. It's not doing it too well. Now it wants to turn all the way. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. So yeah, you just got to try to get them lined up. Get your bolt started in there. Now remember, your bottom plate's got to go on this too yet, so remember that for your pump. So we want to turn this to the side. Find the plate. Get them started in there. All right, once you think you got it all lined up, I got it pulled apart. You want to do a little, oh, wrong way. You want to do little by little. You don't want to do one side all at once because it would break stuff when you do that. So you just want to pull it in. I'm just doing it real gentle. It's getting there already, so I'll show you here in a minute once everything's tightened up. And once you think you got it up, you go ahead and tighten it. You don't want to over tighten them because you can break it real easy. And as you see, this motor don't set flush against that, but you see there's a gap there. So right there is that part. Now we gotta get back to our electrical now. So make sure your little nuts on there. Go ahead and get them slid all back into this little hole right here. I done the two wires first, and then the last one. Kind of got to fight them to get them in there. Such a tight area. All right. I'll get your little ground screw and your Phillips. It goes back down over here. Make sure that ground wire's over. You don't want it stick. You don't want none of your wires sticking past where you can't put your cap back on. All right, so now we just want to put our black wire on with our black wires, our white wires with the white wires. Pretty hard to get them mixed up, so you just match colors. Now we're gonna get our little electrical plate, and you got this. There's a little tab where you hook on there like that. Make sure you're straight. And that just slides down in there and then tighten down your little nut right there, or bolt. One of them wires are making a stick past, so you probably have to really make sure your wires are not sticking past. And that's the ground wire, like I said, it's right in the way. There, now I got it all the way. Now we're going to try that again. They should give you a little more room in these boxes. There we go. Alright, then take your, make sure you got your wire pushed in there somewhat. And then you take that, put that on there, tighten that down. And there you go. And you got a rebuild pump on the inside. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.